Hello everyone, Mark here, Mark's Max Muscle, and it is three-way dance time, a three-way comparison between George Peterson, Kamal Gargni, and Angel Calderon. Of course, these guys are three hopefuls to win the 212 title. There is a couple other guys that I will be mentioning, of course, not in this video, but a little bit later on. I'll make another video. Predictions, things of that nature. But this is the front double bicep pose, and we're going to go through the muscularity round with these three. And I have to say, guys, judging by their physiques right off the chute, the judges are going to have their hands full. I mean, these guys are three different physiques. George Peterson, of course, he has the aesthetics. He's a men's classic physique division competitor. And then on the other end, we have Calderon, Angel Calderon. He has a fantastic physique. Look at his small little wee waistline. I mean, he looks like a powerhouse. And then you got the champion in the middle, Kamal Gargni. I mean, he's the champion, right? It appears that he has a disadvantage as far as the waistline is concerned. But as I often point out, guys, with a big wide waist, usually you have big calves, and that seems to be quite a substantial difference here. Of course, the waistlines are going to make a difference. I might even give this front double bicep pose to George. I don't think Kamal is going to be winning this one. In this pose, that is, guys. In this pose. So I'm going to go through all of them, and I'll give you my final decision, who I think is going to place first, second, and third in this little lineup. But these are versions. I'm using an older version of Kamal. I'm using the Europe of Spain for Angel Calderon. I believe the lighting was superior. I didn't like the pictures from his last event. And as far as Kamal goes, this is an older version, of course, but the pictures from the 2019 Olympia, they weren't straight-on shots, so this is kind of a worst-case Ontario for Kamal and a best-case Ontario for Angel Calderon. But anyway, guys, I might even give this front double bi to Calderon. Now, the front lat spread, upper body, George Peterson, I believe, has this one with ease. I like his quads. Everything but the calves here. I mean, Angel at the end doesn't have very good calves. I think Kamal Gargni is just so good in the calf department that he's making everybody look weak in that area. Good set of lats on Kamal, I will say. He's maybe not winning on that edge. I still think George Peterson probably the winner in this front lat spread. He has the small waist, the lats. Angel lacks the Dorian-esque lats. He has a good, a silhouette here, for sure. But I don't know. I still would place him third in this little lineup. But guys, this is, like I said, there could be totally different versions that they bring to the Olympia. You never know. So it's still, this is still up in the air whether I pick one guy or not. Side chest development, a little bit funky. Here are the sizes. I made Kamal clearly the shortest. I probably should have even made him shorter. He's basically sitting down in this pose. And the other two gentlemen standing up a lot straighter. Might have made Angel a little bit too big. Hard to say, though, for real. I mean, when we see these guys stand on stage, I'm sure it'll be a telling tale. George Peterson, I like the way he's hitting the side chest, don't get me wrong, but in a lineup, I think the judges are going to vote him last in this pose. Kamal probably take this one. Very thick are both Kamal and Angel. But, like I said, guys, this is going to be a telling tale. I mean, if this is the sizes, if I did get them correctly, George is probably going to lose this side pose, so might be coming out of the front shots with George in the lead, but I think in the side, he might be dead last. Of course, in the side tricep, now I like George in this one here. He has really taken advantage, I think, of that tiny little wee waist. And on the contrary, this is a bad picture for Angel Calderon at the end. In the center here, Kamal looks fantastic. To be honest, he would get an easy second, if not first, in this lineup. And like I said, this is a terrible picture. I couldn't find any good ones of Angel Calderon hitting this pose, so Man, I just don't think it's a good shot for him. I looked at the lineup of this pitcher, this particular pitcher here, and he was placing dead last, at least in this shot. I'm not saying that he didn't deserve to win the overall. Of course he did. But it's going to be a bad shot for him, so he's gonna really need to beef it up in all the other poses. But anyway, I think George, he might even be in the lead so far, heading into the all-important back poses. And right out of the chute, before I diss my man George Peterson, probably a bigger fan of him than anyone out of this lineup. Before I go ahead and run his name through the dirt, I will say he has the best lat spread here. He has the biggest, the widest, and a lot of judges are going to see that first. But now comes the terrible part. He just cannot stand next to either of these two guys as far as the dryness of their glutes and even of the back development, guys. George, oh my holy cow. I just noticed the calves. Holy old suffering, guys. Do you see the size of Kamal Gargni's calves? He's making both gentlemen, both guys, look like little spindle dandelion spores. Dandelion spores. I'm telling you right now, guys. Now, is that going to make a difference? Are the judges going to see that? I think Kamal's calves are almost too big when you look at the rest of his legs, for goodness sakes. Of course, George, as sad as it sounds, he needs a little bit more size in those calves, as well as Calderon, but I think anybody's going to look like that standing next to Kamal. I mean, holy, that's unbelievable, guys. Rear double bicep, and it's not quite so cut and dry in either of these back shots. Like I said, guys, George probably winning in the width, the size of that lat spread here in the rear double bi, and it's not quite so prominent, I don't think, for George. He may be falling in last place. In my opinion, he probably would be, and I hate to say that. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of George, but it's the dryness of those glutes. I think when they stand next to each other, guys, the judges are just going to see that, and they're gonna set him aside. And I honestly think, aside from the calves now, like I said, I think they might be too big for Kamal. I think Calderon, to be honest, guys, he was winning maybe the rear lat spread, and I give him the win in this rear double bi. This guy could be a dangerous man. And he was in the Olympia that Kamal won, and he placed so low that you couldn't even see him, and it was terrible. I think he was ripped off. He didn't look bad at all. But anyway, guys, they will not be ignoring him this year. He's been winning shows like whatever, like hotcakes. Is that what they call it? But anyway, guys, to be all seriousness, I think Calderon might even take the 212 title. Who knows, guys? Let's have a look at the rest of the poses. There's a couple more. And I have to say, Calderon looks fantastic in this one as well, guys. Kamal's the driest. I think George has the best silhouette. I mean, he's a little taller. He's the tallest of the three. Just lines, fantastic. Most aesthetic. But then Calderon, he's like a combination of the two. He has the second best lines. He has the second best conditioning. His conditioning, it's going to get better and better. I mean, it's not quite so dry as Kamal in the center there, but that waistline of Kamal is going to cost him. I'm telling you right now. I mean, as big as the calves are, now that's gonna draw a weakness out on both of the other two gentlemen. But their two waistlines are gonna do the same thing with Kamal. So, hey, I might have George winning in the ab and thigh, but it's a close second for Calderon, and I know it's hard to say. It's terrible to say for the most conditioned looking guy in here. He lacks V-taper, does Kamal Gargni, so I might even have him in last in the ab and thigh. Most muscular, and I did use a British Grand Prix version of Calderon just to show you guys why I didn't use this one through the whole competition, and I couldn't find a good most muscular from the Europe of Spain for him. It's tilted thusly as the camera, so it was hard, impossible to get the sizes correctly. It actually made his calves look a little smaller too, but it made his upper body look so huge. And it's through filters, through so many filters, these pictures, that I didn't really like to use them. You see what I mean, guys? So it's a little unfair, hard to say. Although I should go on to say that he might even take the most muscular. He is a stout, vascular, just unbelievably conditioned man. Kamal, he needs to hit this a different way, I believe, to judge this one fairly. I'm not a huge fan of his crab position. George Peterson, guys, he's the X factor in this one. He is more aesthetic, depending on what the judges are looking for. He could take this one. He honestly could. Now, for me, for my tastes, it's going to be a battle between him and Kamal Gargni for second place. That's right, guys. It's a close, narrow matchup between them two, depending on what you want the conditioning. And I hate to say it, but honestly, I would put George in third in this lineup. And I know that's terrible to say, considering that he's probably one of my favorites. He is my favorite out of this lineup. But when you're judging them, guys, you have to throw that right out the window. You have to judge them fairly. And I have, honestly, Angel Calderon winning this one. But like I said, guys, this is his latest versions. It's best case Ontario for him. Most of these pictures for Kamal were 2 years ago. So, I mean, worst case Ontario for him. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this three-way comparison. We're heading in on 12 minutes, so three-way ones always take a little bit longer. Have your protein shakes. Subscribe to the channel. All that great stuff. Get your workouts in. Have a fantastic workout, of course. As always, it's all about that. It's all about that. And dieting, of course. But anyway, subscribe to the channel. Have a great day, guys.